Hello and welcome back to the Knitting Page channel. If you're new here, my name's Paige and I'm the face behind the Knitting Page. Today I want to sit down and talk to you about my reflections on my Hot WIP Summer. It's funny, I feel like reflection is such a big part of my teaching practice, and it's something that I'm doing all the time to better my craft, and it's also something that I'm asking of my students. And this is definitely just a little bit aside, but one thing I'm really proud of that I'm doing this year is I'm doing math journals in my grade 8 math class. And I got this idea last year when I was reading through some of their work in their English class and realizing how much I loved to hear their thoughts. And I thought, in math, they really only communicate to me in numbers and symbols, the occasional picture, the occasional therefore statement. But I really wanted to know what they thought about math. And so it's been 3 weeks into the school year and I've already had them do 3 journal prompts, and I'm so pleased with my idea to go through and have this little reflection process as part of our math class. And so I finished reading through their journals and writing them back today, and I thought, I haven't filmed a video about my reflections in a while, and it's almost the official end of summer, which to me, summer ends at the start of the school year, but the official end of summer is coming up this September, and so I thought I would reflect on how my Hot WIP summer went. So my Hot WIP summer was inspired by, and I just have some notes in my little journal here, but my Hot WIP summer was inspired by taking a reality check and seeing what I actually had active on my needles. And at the end of the school year in June, I was getting a little overwhelmed by the number of projects that I had on my needles. And so I thought, let's not even worry about what to cast on this summer because I just want to get things off my needles. So I sat down and recorded a video called Hot WIP Summer, which was a play on words for a hot girl summer walk. And on that list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I had 9 projects that I wanted to go through. I actually just went and skipped through my video to make sure that I recorded the projects down. And of those 9, I completed only 4. And I thought I was doing better than that when people had asked me how I was doing, but I also went and completed 3 other projects during that time that I hadn't really anticipated. And so on my list I had my Billy sweater, which is one, or Billy pullover. It's one that I would really love to finish, and it's really not that hard to finish except that I have to do some sweater surgery, and right now that terrifies me just a little bit. I then had my Maggie Cardigan by Petite Knit, and the Billy pullover, by the way, is by Sari Nordland. My Maggie Cardigan by Petite Knit, which I successfully completed, and it's a cardigan that I reach for quite often. I then talked about my Tulip loop sweater, which again was a sweater that I completed, and so pleased with that result. I also completed my Norma Sweater by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and then we go through a list of projects that I talked about in that video that I have yet to complete. The Olympe vest by La Pole is one that I would love to complete, but I have not yet. And it's one that is really kind of sitting on the back burner right now. It has its own little project basket with all the different scrap yarns that I'm using, but I did so much double knitting and I have so much double knitting to do that one's kind of sitting on the wayside. And so we'll see if I get it picked up again. I know I have a lot of projects that I'm trying to work through this fall, some of which, really only one of which, is from the summer, which is the next cardigan that I didn't finish, and that is the Maya cardigan v-neck by We Made Wardrobe. That cardigan I would have loved to have completed, but it was really just too hot to work on this summer, and so I have brought it back into rotation for the fall. Currently working on that lovely but dreadful double knit button band, and I'm hoping to wrap that up at some point this fall. It's knit on a large gauge. I think it will be very useful to wear this upcoming fall and winter and have a really nice cozy navy sweater, or navy cardigan rather. Another project that I didn't finish was the Nada dress by Ulla Knitwear, and that is one that also has a lot of double knitting around all the edging, and I just haven't been inspired to do double knitting around the edging after finishing my square neck camisole. So that's one that would be such a lovely piece in my wardrobe, and I am noticing that there is a bit of a hole in my dresses, especially longer dresses, and so I think that that's one that could come back at the later fall, early winter, to slowly work on that double knit edging so that I know how the top fits before I determine the full length of that dress. It's currently at like around the knee length, but I would really like it to be more of a midi length for it to be like its finished piece. So we'll see if that comes back. And one top that I know I probably won't be working on is the Solar Tube Top by Ola Knitwear. Again, that's one that's in 100% silk using the Knitting for Olive held double. Beautiful pattern. I love tube tops, but because I didn't get to it this summer, I really doubt that I will get to it this upcoming fall. The only exception I could think about is in the winter, I really like to go to this like concert series that's really close to where I live in Halifax called Winter Warmers, and it's very warm in the venue, and so having a cute hand knit top to wear in a warm venue in the winter could be an application for that top that would maybe inspire me to finish it over the course of a week, because there's really not that much knitting left. I just want to prioritize my fall knits because that's what has me excited right now. And the last project that I talked about in that video was my square neck camisole by Garno Slicked, and that is a top that I finished. The double knit, let's try this again. The double knit edging looks absolutely beautiful, but it took so long, and I really want to focus on my cardigans before I go into the double knit edging of not a sweater, of a dress. And so the square neck camisole was one that I finished that I'm really pleased with. Now, I did also mention that there was a couple other projects that I worked on this summer, and I did like the flexibility of allowing myself to cast on a couple new projects, with the main priority with the main priority to wrap up those summer projects and those summer whips that have been on my needles for a while. And so I also finished the Sabai top by Suzanne Mueller, which is a lovely top that I would love to knit another of. I also finished the Juma Blouse, which was a test knit, and I'm really trying to be picky and choosy over which test knits I do apply for, and it has to be one where I can immediately see myself wearing that piece. And the Juma Blouse was one that I am so pleased with. I finished it before the deadline. I got everything done. I used up yarn and stash. It was a really great project and a really great piece, really great process, and very proud of myself for finishing that, and really pleased to have applied for that test knit and get my Holst Garden Tides out of my stash with a high utility, high function piece that I think has a lot of versatility. The other project that I finished this summer, casted on and finished for all three of those, well, just finished whips for the previous four, was the Lakes Pullover by Ozetta for Mr. Running. Again, that's probably the project that I am most proud of, just because Mr. Running is so pleased with his sweater. He's worn it every day since I've casted it off. He wore it before blocking and after blocking. He seems really pleased with it. It's a color that he likes, it's a construction that he likes, it's a fit that fits him really well, and he is definitely the most knit-worthy person I have ever knit for. My dad, once he gets his Lakes Pullover, might be a close competitor for Mr. Running, but overall, so pleased with that, and he really, really wanted that sweater, and so I'm really proud of myself for also making like a full garment gift knit as well. And that being said, there were two other projects I casted on this summer that I haven't yet finished, one of which is the Knitlit, which was a late summer cast on, and that is a versatile tank top that I really would love the finished object for. The thing that's holding me back right now is I'm missing one ball of Drops Bell, and so I have to go into like the depths of my yarn stash to go and find it, but I do know that I have a few extra. I just didn't pull them. Apparently I didn't pull enough out when I was like dividing my project up. And the other project that I cast on this summer was the Mix Up Blanket by Rose Knitwear. And that is, again, a project that's going to be this long-term whip. It's a blanket. I would love to have it done for the fall and winter, but I do have a lot of other projects this fall that are a little more appealing than knitting on a garter stitch blanket. But I do know some of these projects are very heavy in terms of stitch pattern and attention. So having that blanket to fall back on and work on a couple rows here and there will be a nice little like ease of mind. And I think it would be like nice to have a stockinette project that is this blanket, and maybe as the fall goes on, having a warm, cozy hand knit blanket will pull me more. So my camera ran out of juice, so I just deleted some things on it, but I will talk about my Hot WIP Summer. So that being said, I think Hot WIP Summer was a relative success. I would have loved to have completed more than 50% of the projects that I had put on the list, but I am glad that I allowed myself to cast on some tops and some projects that were inspiring me. I hope I don't have to repeat Hot WIP Summer because I would like to have a more manageable amount of WIPs. I started out with 9 WIPs and I'd like to maybe keep it around 5 or 6 moving forward. I think that's a more reasonable number for me. I know I've talked about 3 or 4 in the past, but I think 5 or 6 is fairly realistic, and just making sure that I'm going to finish some of those WIPs before I go and cast on new ones. If you also had a Hot WIP Summer, I would love to hear what you worked on and what you were able to accomplish this season. I'm really proud that I was able to finish 3 sweaters, 2 cardigans, and 2 tops this summer, as well as be almost finished a couple of other projects. And I'd love to hear what you were able to knit this summer. And with that, happy knitting, and I'll see you in the next one.